Hey guys, welcome to Shelf 2024, 28, 30, 31. Yes, we're into the 30s and there's some good stuff to come, although we're looking at lighter games possibly in the near future, but for now, we're looking at pretty heavy stuff. I mean, this is pretty heavy, this was even more heavy, and this is still going along that heavy trend. So we're going to continue first with Mind Clash Games, who I already touched upon in the last video, but this is the last game I have and my favourite of their range, and oh my god, is it a beast. Ooh, ow, cool. Trap my fingers, that's not good. Right, oh, well, might as well leave on that side. This is Anachrony with the big sleeve from Kickstarter, yes. I didn't even get it the first time it was on Kickstarter, actually. I got it on the second time they did it. I think they reprinted it and allowed you to get the Kickstarter version. No, oh no, I bought it second hand. Yeah, somebody pledged for it and then didn't keep it, so I get it off them. But this one, oh yes, Anachrony. You want a heavy game with a huge dollop of theme done right, then you get this game. This one is lovely. With this one, you are basically, you have forced, this is a world where, sorry, this is a world where time travel is possible. And your foresight, you know, from 4 different factions have found out that a big meteor is going to strike your city, render it like useless, and you're preparing for that eventuality while also wanting to be the faction that builds everything up again. Like you'll be the new ruler once everything goes to pot. But with that, you basically take place on this timeline where later on you know the meteor is going to hit at this specific point. So you've got a few rounds before and a few rounds after, of which actions change after that point. But you're sending people out in these mechs, which you've got these great miniatures for, to like perform actions, get resources, and build buildings in your own area, which you can send the actual people without the mechs to in these buildings to trigger different effects. It's definitely about trying to get an engine going, an engine builder. But one thing I love about this, it's so good, that theme. Oh my god, it's so good. I mentioned time travel. In this one, this is the one game I know of that time travel is done right. It's got one of my favourite mechanics I've ever seen in any game. You can activate a specific building to go back in time. Why would you do that? Because every round you get to select in a closed bid format what resources and people or bonuses you would like for that round. Okay, so why don't you just pick them all? Well, there's a catch. Basically, what you are doing is you are borrowing these resources from the future in order to use them now. And if you do that, you create temporal paradoxes. And as a result, whoever has done the most paradoxes, ends up with a problem, but also just having paradoxes in the area at any time can potentially spawn anomalies which are negative points and plug up your buildings. It's not good, but what you can do later on is using these buildings that, I mean, you could play the game without taking any bonuses. Fair play. But then you don't have the effort to put in time travel, but then you're losing out on some potential point gain as well as also losing out on those bonuses. But you can do it without time travel. But you activate one of these buildings, you go back in time at a certain range, back to that point, and then you give back the resources you borrowed in the first place. So you have to go back in time to give yourself the resources that you borrowed earlier. I cannot tell you how giddy I get whenever I explain that rule, because it's just so thematically brilliant. The idea that it's basically saying that debt is basically time travel. It's like, I borrowed £10,000 from the bank. No, you didn't borrow £10,000 from the bank. You borrowed it from yourself in the future. So you better hope you've got that £10,000 to pay back the loan. It's basically that. But I love it in here. And you can just say, you know what, I'm keeping these bonuses and paradoxes aplenty. I'll find a way to deal with the anomalies and that, I need these bonuses. But it's just so cool how that works. And as well as that, you've got these super projects to build, which they require a lot of resources, a lot of effort, but you go through the timeline and you can only build certain super projects at certain times. So if you miss one, but you want to build it, you've got to go back in time to the point where that super project was made and then build it. It sounds really complicated, and I'm not saying this is an easy, streamlined game. It's a heavy game, but it's easier than you might think, or how I'm explaining it here. Trust me, if I was to teach you this game, you'd be able to get to grips with it, I think. But you've got extra modules you can use for variety. Personally, I'm just happy playing a base game as it is. It's already got enough stuff in it. We've got a new module coming. It's got a very good solo mode, the Chronobot, And we're getting a new expansion soon, which introduces even more funky elements with time travel and anomalies and stuff. It's like, oh, it's such a cool game, and I just love this one to bits. I want to play it more often. Unfortunately, there's only so many people I can, but yeah, gorgeous, love it. All right, let's shift on to Pandasaurus games. So let's start off small with something that may not sit in my collection much longer, and that is Dinosaur Island. Why won't it sit in my collection? Well, mainly, the main reason this will stay in the collection is if I like the solo mode. That's pretty much it, because this is a two-player game, which is kind of like a mini version of the next one, Dinosaur Island. It's a solid game. I mean, you are basically doing similar mechanics, rolling these cool chunky custom dice, getting dinosaurs and various features in your park, trying to get the DNA of different colours in order to play the dinosaurs and that, and using various, employees for different things. It's a cool little two-player game. It requires a little bit of back and forth and getting each other's head. The problem with this is it's a two-player only game. I don't have anyone to play this with, which is a problem. Now, I will, at some point, possibly even today, in fact, now that I look at it, attempt the solo mode. Because I did try the solo mode, and it was a long time ago, though, and I can't remember what I thought about it. But, you know, as a two-player game, it's great. But if it's good solo, I will probably keep this game. But if it does, I don't know if I'll hang on to it for the fact that it is a two-player only game that I just don't think is going to see the table very often. Not to say it's a bad game, but as I say, two players are just hard for me to get to the table, and if I want to get a really beefy two-player to the table, I got Star Wars Rebellion and a few others later on. So, you know, we'll see. There's hope for it yet. But the big daddy, which is not going anywhere anytime soon, is Dinosaur Island. And I'm talking all of Dinosaur Island. I'm talking Dinosaur Island with totally liquid thrown in, Kickstarter Extreme Edition, metal coins, you name it, it's got it. Oh yes, love this one. Again, theme sings. I don't tend to go for a lot of Pandasaurus' games. I can't think of any others that I'm like over the moon about. I like some of their games, but I just haven't kept many. This one though just sang to me. It just really worked. Because with this, oh, God, blimey. Now, some people have an issue with the colour palette and the graphical design. Personally, I quite like it. It's kind of like an 80s retro style. But with this is Jurassic Park, the board game. You are building a theme park. You are grabbing the dino recipes. You are getting the DNA on your board. You are building up your your lab, essentially, to do cool things. You've got your park. You're getting ice cream stands and roller coasters and also the dinosaur exhibits in your park. You can go for herbivores, which aren't that exciting, but they also don't have a risk factor, or you could try and invest lots of time, get those big predator carnivorous dinosaurs like the T-Rex. But the problem is, yes, they bring in the Patreons, they also eat some of them as well, so you've got to keep your security up. But the variety in this game, the different ways you can play it, and with totally liquid thrown in the mix, you've then got, well, you know, it's a bit less in this box, but with totally liquid, you've got unique starting like pet things that you got. So you could start off with a goat pen and feed goats to your dinosaurs. You could start off with like a funky lab or a nightclub or something. You've got blueprints for scoring points. You've got a different like Meeple you can use, more dice. You've got water-based creatures like from Jurassic World. It's such a good, fun, thematic game. I mean, it's got a bit of a setup time, and it's a table hog to say the least. Like, this table won't struggle with it. Most tables will. It's a lot of stuff on the table. But I love this one. Again, strong theme. Feels exactly like Jurassic Park before it all went to pot. You know, gives me the same feeling of like, I'm building up my cool park, and when I'm done, win or lose, here's my fun park. Everybody's making Jurassic Park quotes and references. Everybody's taking the mick out of parks and when patrons get eaten and stuff. Really, the only minor quibble I have with it is the bag of meeples that you draw the visitors out of. That's a bit of a random element. You can mitigate it to an extent, but yeah, you could just draw a bunch of meeples like the hooligans in one turn, and that's not ideal. There's not that many of them, but it could happen, and I just feel that for a heavy Euro, it didn't really need that luck element. But that's a minor quibble. Still, really love this one. So, Pandasaurus and Minecraft all finished in one day. So next up, we're going on to a pretty mix of... No, most of that is horrible games, as in the publisher, not actually horrible games. and a little bit of Czech game editions. And then we move on to the next column, which is going to look at more lighter stuff, but soon we'll get onto Stonemaier, we'll get onto Malago games, and of course, the darling that is Ryan Lockett games with some of his recent stuff. Although, one of those I've not actually played yet, so that'll be a hard one to talk about. We'll see at that video. But until then, I better get on with editing some of these. So take care, stay safe, and glad you like the content. See you soon.